Hello everyone, I am Kadene Chambers and welcome to Beneath the Surface. All you need to get the most out of this show is an open and inquisitive mind. Today's topic is extracting our greatness, and our guest is Alvin Day, who is well equipped to speak to us about success and greatness. Why? Well, Alvin is an executive leadership coach, an empowerment trainer, a keynote speaker, a best-selling author, and he's the executive director of the Empowerment Institute. Today, our conversation will be framed against his best-selling book, If Caterpillars Can Fly, So Can I. And ladies and gentlemen, I am excited to share this discussion with you because that book has had an immense impact on me personally as it relates to my belief in my abilities to achieve anything that I set my mind to. Alvin, welcome to Beneath the Surface.
Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you. Thank you.
Today, I'd like to start off with sharing a belief that you have about me and everybody else on this planet. And so I'm going to read from your words. Viewers, this is what Alvin thinks about you. He believes that you, yes, you, were born to succeed, to be great, to achieve at least one more spectacular, life-changing thing before you die. You were created with great purpose, and until you begin to pursue it, Alvin believes that nothing you do will bring you lasting meaning or satisfaction. And can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I believe him. Alvin, how does this belief that you have impact your interactions with others?
How does it impact my interaction with others? Well, first of all, it impacts me. And we live in a world where we're often focused so much on others that we forget that we must first focus on us. The way in which I interact with others is probably more a function of the way I am than the way they are. And so the impact that it has on me as a sort of general operating belief or philosophy is that it gives momentum and hope and passion and power to the being that is sitting here, standing here, living there. And if you think about it, what is a life without those things? What is a life without momentum, going somewhere, and without hope of the possibility of tomorrow, and without passion, getting excited? It's a life that sounds dreary and dull and depressed, isn't it?
Yes.
So I give you two scenarios. One scenario is somebody who's living that life of being dreary and dull and depressed. And the other one who's living a life that is going somewhere, that is passionate, that is energized, that has hope. Now, when each of these two people comes to you, do you think that state of being is going to affect the way they interact with you? Yeah, right? So the way it affects me is that it just helps me to have a sort of presence that is good for others. So first it has to be good for me, and then it has to be good for others. Oftentimes when we find problems with other people, it is because our interactions with them are not good for them. Hence the reactions to us. So it really makes a difference.
Now, today's topic is about our greatness. And we've already established that we each have greatness within us. And I want to ask Alvin, just in case somebody needs help with referencing it, what is greatness?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because as with the question, what is success, there's a certain subjectivity around it, and some folks don't even want to deal with it because they say success is different from one person to the other. But here's what's not different. Here's what's not different. And it's, again, the same thing with greatness, because perhaps they're the same thing. They're not different. Yes. What is not different from person to person in terms of greatness or success is that you take your status quo, the way you are right now, the moment, the present, and you look at it and see it several notches ahead of where it is. So that's relative, because if I'm down here, greatness for me might mean jumping a couple steps up to here. where the normal increment is to go half a step, quarter step, a half a step, and gradually, like interest rate, we build over time. Okay, so that's fine. And the financial world operates on that. But greatness is what happens when you go from 2 to 8, 2 to 9, or even 2 to 6. And subsequently, greatness happens for the person who's here. You might say, okay, this person is not doing very well. And the person is operating on a plane that's here. If that person could somehow get ignited with a hope, with a dream, with a passion, with an inspiration that lifts the person a couple or 3 points to 5, you look back and you see the gap and you go, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Let's take it in a very simple way. Can you imagine what you would feel like if one day, suddenly, your annual income doubled? I mean, whatever you made last year, whatever you're on track to make this year, I want you to think about that. I am making, let's say, $80,000 a year, $100,000 a year. And I'm used to that, and my expenditure is based upon that. My budget is based on that. And suddenly something happens where you're making $200,000 a year. Now, the perception of that gap is what's greatness. Greatness is a sort of quantitative quantum leap over the status quo. Subsequently, this message is not relative, it's not for only certain people. If you are here and you're operating here, your daddy is a millionaire, or your daddy was a millionaire, and he left you all kinds of money and you don't even have to work for it, and you're kind of operating here, it becomes your status quo. You're a doctor and that's what you do for a living. That's what you've come to take for granted. You can't afford to die there because it is status quo. Suddenly you invent the cure for a disease and you're impacting people all around the world. That quantum leap is greatness.
What we've just established then is that greatness does not. There are similarities, key similarities. It's about that increase that is massive. It doesn't necessarily look the same way for everyone, though, in terms of the details. Would you say that?
That's correct. That's correct. It
Right.
doesn't look the same. The context is different. The plane on which your status quo is operating is all different. But see, the human mind is funny, Kadene. When we have a certain stimulus over a long period of time, our mind tends to shut down on it and we're not excited about it anymore. I want to challenge you. Do you remember when you were in high school and you ran a race or you did an exam and you got a reward for it, a certificate or a cup or something?
Yeah.
Imagine how it felt, because before that you didn't have the cup. Next thing, you got the cup, right? But now take it over time. Where's that cup? It's in a box under your bed. Okay? You don't look at it once a year, right? So what happens is when the mind is subject to a certain stimulus, even though initially it was wonderful, the mind kind of flattens out on it in the same way that if you walk into a room that is smelling strongly of curry or perfume, it's really strong. And then after about 5 minutes, you don't smell it anymore. I call it the olfactory effect, where the brain kind of shuts down on that because it knows it's there, so it can focus on other things. So what happens is when you're in a certain situation, even though it was wonderful at the start, over time, there's what the economists call diminishing marginal utility. You don't get the same juice out of it anymore. You don't get the same energy out of it anymore. And so what's necessary is for you to aspire to something of a different level within whatever realm it is that satisfies you, financial, social, emotional, whatever.
Yes. And this is why when we talk about in terms of psychology, there's an argument that there is no true self-actualization, because it doesn't matter what we achieve. We are setting new goals to aim for something else, something else, something else.
Yeah,
I agree.
And by the way, when you lose that something else, you die.
Oh.
You either wake up dead or you just lose. You're a zombie.
You're just existing.
Lots of folks who wake up dead, they wake up, they get out of it.
I know, yes.
There's no life there. There's no inspiration.
And I can identify with what you're saying clearly, because most of my career, I've done things that I've been passionate about. And at any point, I'm doing something that I didn't feel that passion for. It became rote and boring, and it's just, However, when I'm doing something that excites me, it doesn't even matter how challenging it is, how many sleepless nights, the stress that comes with it. There is a fire and excitement, and you feel alive when you are pursuing that. And so I can see that. I can see that. Now, I'm curious to know, Do you think that achieving and maintaining greatness is tied to our feelings of self-worth?
Well, certainly tied to our feelings of self-worth, and all one has to do is to look at the very opposite condition. If you are in a state of lack of greatness, which means mundane, boring, meaninglessness, then that doesn't go well with someone feeling that I am wonderful, I was made to do something great in the world. So self-worth is important, and we're not taught to value ourselves. We're taught to value other people and then compare ourselves to the ones whom we value highly. We see the stars on TV, we see the beautiful people on the billboards around our cities, and yet sometimes we cannot imagine ourselves there. But that's not greatness, because some of them are self-destructive. You see them all the time. They commit suicide, they run, they get drunk, the police pulls them over, even though they may have $1 million at their fingertips, or millions of dollars at their fingertips. Mm-hmm. So greatness begins. Greatness begins and ends in your thought life. Your thought life, the way you think, the way you see yourself, the way you see your world. It can produce the outward trappings of material success. But if you don't have that thinking, even when material success comes, it will leave you dry. So yes, self-worth is critical. When I was a child, I was confused. I grew up in a conservative Christian home, and I thought that if I focused on myself, it would be selfish, self to self. And I've been telling this story since 1990 something. I won't date myself, but I'm a little over 20. I was on and this is going to challenge somebody into their gut, into their belly. I was on an airplane traveling from Cincinnati to Miami. It took, I think, about 3 hours, and I got ready to sleep, and I never got a wink of sleep because a woman came on the plane, stood up in front of us on the plane and said something that I shall never forget. As if I'd never heard it before, she said, "Ladies and gentlemen, in the unlikely event that this aircraft should begin to lose pressure, a mask will fall from the compartment above you. If this should happen, reach out with both arms, grasp the nearest mask, put it over your nose and mouth, and begin to breathe normally." You've heard it, right?
Yes.
And then she proceeded to say, if you are traveling with a child or someone who needs assistance, put your own mask on first and then assist the other person. I thought, good God, is that not the height of selfishness? And I got no sleep at all because ricocheting around my head was this notion, but wait a minute. It's not just Delta Airlines, American Airlines, British Airways, Virgin Atlantic. They all have to say it because they have something to do with the Federal Aviation Authority. They have to say it before the plane can even get off the ground. And I thought to myself over those 3 hours, but wait a minute, if I'm so stupid as to put everybody in front of myself, and I have a child who needs help, and I'm struggling with that child to put his mask on, who doesn't even want it on, chances are likely both of us will die. But if I let the person wait, and if I put life-giving oxygen in my lungs first, even if he has passed out from waiting, I can resuscitate him. Why? Because I have life in my lungs. And I want to talk to somebody who is struggling with the self thing. You don't think you should spend time on yourself? You're a nurse. You take care of sick people, but you don't take care of yourself. You give money, but you don't keep any for yourself. If you are dead, of what good are you to those who are alive? If you're hungry, how can you feed the poor? If you're discouraged and drained and depressed, how can you give courage and hope to anybody else? That was a shock to my system. You have to value yourself. You have to fill yourself up with something so that it can bubble over you and have enough excess to give to others. Otherwise, you're not even there.
I thank you for that, because that is something that I feel strongly about as well. And as you rightly say, we aren't trained to take care of ourselves. We aren't encouraged to do it. And so many people struggle with feelings of selfishness. And we feel that we are at our most giving when we deny ourselves even the most basic of care. And so any opportunity I get to share a version of what you just expressed eloquently is what I do, because I now feel strongly about that. I have seen the effects on myself personally when I gave to everyone around me everything. And when you are a giver, people will take. If you are also not surrounded by other people who are going to be givers as well, you become depleted.
That's correct.
And so there are so many reasons for us to consistently and constantly take care of ourselves first. We will have everything, as you rightly just said, to give to everybody else around us when we are good and great.
That's right. Now, by the way, I wrote down what you said about the title here, Extracting Our Greatness, because in that title that you put together there, that theme is the notion that it has to be extracted. It's like it's inside somewhere. It's like you're juicing an orange. And the book to which you refer, and I appreciate your making reference to that book, is one that is the embodiment of this extraction process. It is these 7 steps for how you get the juice out so that the orange does not rot and go into the ground without the juice having served its purpose. Here's why I go to that. We're all familiar with this idea. The title you refer to is If Caterpillars Can Fly, So Can I. Now, when you think about a caterpillar, you think about a little larva, a little worm, a little squishy, green, ugly thing. But when you think about a butterfly, you think about elegance and lightness and freedom that floats on the air. And what we do when you talk about self-worth here is we look at ourselves in our early development stage and say, I'm nothing but a worm. Kadene, you know how many beautiful women look in front of the mirror, look at themselves in the mirror, and they can't stand what they see? You know how many strong men feel weak inside? We are taught to look at ourselves at a lower level. We stand at the height of others whom we admire, and we look down at ourselves and feel unworthy. And here's the thing that I want to tell you. Nature is replete with examples of power that comes packaged as raw material. The little caterpillar, eventually, after it does everything that it can to work on itself, stay in the sun, eat a leaf, stay in the sun, eat a leaf. One day, the chest of this caterpillar breaks open, literally cracks open, and out of it start coming these wings, these beautiful, colorful, captivating, kaleidoscopic wings that just pop out of this caterpillar. And the caterpillar begins to move these wings because it feels natural, and move these wings. And when the caterpillar looks down, it finds that it is flying far above the place where it had spent its entire life. Here's why I want to tell you the story. Because if caterpillars, if something as ugly and dejected looking and just inferior as a caterpillar can fly, nature is telling us that when we were born, inside us was planted the same greatness, because 100% of the genetic ingredient of butterfly is resident inside caterpillar, even when it is ugly on the outside. Nobody listening to you, Kadene, nobody listening to me has a logical, legitimate right to downgrade himself or herself, because inside us is the fire of greatness, which will only come out when we extract it. What does that mean? Work on yourself, read right materials, watch videos that are not just stupid things on YouTube about building yourself, go to courses and seminars, find mentors, aspire to the heavens and reach for them. And when we extract that juice, the people around us who doubted us will not even believe that it was the same old person.
I like it. Your life is all on fire right now, and I absolutely love it. May I ask why you believe that so strongly, that we have all we need to excel?
Well, it's very interesting that you should say that, because I perceive that there are people who are listening to you who, like me, are skeptics and cynics and analytical thinkers. Yes, I'm not a cynic, but I'm an analytical thinker who likes to surround things 360. I would position it this way. We don't have everything that we need to succeed inside us. Here's the distinction. All the raw material, all the fiber is inside us. What we are missing is outside, and it's the tools and techniques and the help and the hands and feet to extract that juice to which you reference when you talk about extracting the greatness. So it's a sequence, it's a sort of chronology. If we are going to achieve this greatness of which we dream, we must first come to see it. We need to recognize that the raw material of it is deep on the inside. It is your talent, it is your passion, it is your gifting, it is what you like that keeps you awake at night. And so that's the basic cement of which the building blocks are going to be made. But then you need some tools which you may not be able to use, or you may not have, in which case you have to enroll others in whom you believe, others who are skilled, others who can direct you. Not willy-nilly, not everybody, because for every dreamer, somebody said, there are 1,000 dream stealers ready to kill them. So selectively, you find people who can help you. So in a sense, you don't have everything that you need, but the thing that is great is inside you already, just waiting to be worked on.
And so you've also explained to us how we can access that greatness within us with the right tools. And just to reiterate then, you said read the right material, get the right kind of information, align yourself with the right kind of social support and mentors. That is how, those are the tools that we can use to extract this greatness.
Yeah.
Yes. So how can we achieve or maintain greatness even during hardships? And I think that's a key question, because for each of us at some point in our life, things happen that kind of knocks us off kilter. And some of us bounce back more readily than others.
Yes.
But I think this is useful information for all of us. How do we maintain or achieve the greatness even when life is throwing hardships at us?
Critical question, because many of the folks listening to us are going through trauma and drama right at the moment, whether by some sort of social things that are happening or personal life issues. And I want to say that this stance, this passion, this energy that I feel is not some sort of superficial positive thinking thing. It is a profound understanding of your power to create reality irrespective of the circumstances around you. So what that translates to is that when you're on this path to living your greatness, to discovering and living it, you are going to be knocked down. You're going to feel pain. You're going to go through heat. And when you do, it's going to hurt. Not every day I feel like this. There are times when I sit in my bed and go, God, and slap my head and sometimes complain, and I'm negative. You can't believe this. My wife says to me, you can't say that. I'm going, why? Because in the book, if caterpillars can fly, so can I. You said you're not supposed to say that. And I go, confession, I'm human. Okay. So I'm living up to the principles I've discovered. I still have to live up to them. But here's the difference. I don't know if I've been given some knowledge. I've seen things that others haven't seen, or in me, or both, or whatever. But when I fall, it hurts. Okay. I feel shame. I feel my knees hurt. I feel my feet hurt when they smack the pavement. I feel the blood come out. But even, you see, this is the thing, it's a thought life, it's in here. Even as I'm on my way down, and this is possible for everyone, even as you're on your way down to falling, and you're hurting, you're screaming, and that person died, and you think it's never hurt that much, it's in your bone. As you're on your way down, you know that when you hit bottom, you're gonna come up again. And you almost can't wait to hit the bottom because you know you're coming back up. It is this sort of effervescent light, that inextinguishable light in you that says, until the day I die, nothing I go through can possibly kill me.
Hmm.
Well,
I love that. I love that. Say that again. Say that again.
Put it on, tweet it and put my name on it. Okay.
I will.
Even as you're going down and you're feeling the pressure and the pain and the problems of life coming down upon you, and they're coming and you're feeling it and you're hurting, while you're there, you can't wait to hit bottom, because you know inside you that until the day I die, nothing I go through can possibly kill me. So I'm going to live. Now, this kind of way of living, one day it's going to be proven wrong. I'm going to die. Something's going to kill me, right? But not today. Not now. It's going to have to surprise me one day. So that's the first thing. And the other one, not twice, just once. And until that one time comes when I am buried 6 feet under, I'm going to live with a capital L. Until the day I die, nothing I go through can possibly kill me. And I dare anybody with that simplistic, stupid sounding statement to disprove it. If it doesn't kill me, I'm living large. I'm coming back.
If we get nothing else from today, that's what I want us all to walk away with. That notion, that idea, that belief that until you're dead, you're alive.
Yeah.
With infinite possibilities as well.
Oh, and by the way, there's another aspect to it. In history, it has already been written down the day when you will die. Now, you can call it accident, you can call it whatever. That date in history that hasn't quite come yet is there. Until that date, nothing else can kill you, nothing else. Otherwise, the history would not have then been written that way. So you don't know the date, but you know the date is in the future. It's not here, it's not present, or you'll be dead now. So you live knowing that today you're not dead. Maybe this afternoon, who knows? But right now you're not dead and you're living up to the max. Oh, by the way, let me share one last thing with you about the sort of natural profundity, how profound this is, not some superficial positive thinking. It is inherent in nature that these principles are built in all living creatures. It everywhere. I have replete all kinds of examples. Let's take the gold. The gold, in order to get its value, this ring on my finger that is beautiful, that costs thousands of dollars. In order for the gold to get to this place where it has greatest human value, it has had to be beaten by on an anvil with metal, smacking it and beating dirt and the things off and flattened out. And it hurts. And then after all of that, when you think you've gone through enough trouble, the goldsmith takes you and puts you, if you're the gold, into the fire and bakes you and boils you till you bubble 1700 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're just fire on your surface and you feel like you're never going to make it. But because you were born with the ingredient, the raw material, the fiber of gold inside, you cannot evaporate. All the impurities burn off and evaporate, but the molten gold sits there, ready now, after all the suffering, to be poured into a form that becomes a ring where a little tiny piece of it can cost thousands of dollars. Every single person listening to me today, you were born as gold, in a manner of speaking, and all the difficulties you go through will never let you evaporate or make you evaporate until you give up and die. And when you go through that fire, it is nature's way of purifying you to be ready to better to serve mankind. You walk through the fire knowing that it is a part of nature's way, and you come out shining.
And of infinite worth, which we always had. That is true. And so with that in mind, now let's look at taking personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Because as you highlighted, the raw material that we need to acquire and maintain greatness is within us.
Mm.
But we are not going to achieve that until and unless we recognize that and work to extract it. So that is therefore now taking personal responsibility. Yes? What are the dangers of casting blame for the issues that we face on external agents?
Yeah. Well, there's a cost. There's a very, very heavy cost. When I blame you for my circumstances, I give away my power to you.
Say that again.
When I blame you for my circumstances, I have to relinquish my power to you in order to believe that. Because it is you who caused it. It is you who have the power to cause it. And I am now complaining and commiserating and crying about it simply because, or which reflects that I don't have the power to shift it. If I had the power to shift it, if I perceived I had the power to shift it, we wouldn't be having a conversation, because it's painful, it's ugly. So when I submit under the ugly, under the painful, and I point over there, I'm pointing to the power source, the source to which I've given my power. You feel weak today, you feel depressed today, you feel that you can't do anything today because so-and-so stole your money and deprived you. So-and-so said that to you when you were younger. So-and-so did that to you. And every time you point, you're creating a channel that sends your power over there. Suck it back and go, okay, got it. That was done. Fine. I am gold inside. I'll never evaporate. What will I do about today and tomorrow? I can't change the past. I don't want to do that. But I have today and I have tomorrow, and you suck that power back in. Perhaps your success was never supposed to be in that direction anyway, so you turn 10 degrees away and you go that way and say goodbye. It is so simple to leave our past behind, but we must take responsibility for the fact that we are the ones who determine our destiny. The Lord has given us the raw material and the proclivities and the preferences and the tendencies towards certain things and the personality types towards certain things, but we must use them as we see fit. And so it is up to us. Otherwise, you know, God has this way of not giving you the finished product. I like the idea of raw material. Katie, quick story. I don't know where I got it, but it's great. An old man was sitting on his porch, on his rocking chair like this. A young man passed and then came back and said, "Excuse me, sir, I just had to come back and say, congratulations. That is a beautiful garden that God has given you, this garden in front of the yard." And the old man said, "Thank you. You should have seen the shape in which it was when he first gave it to me." People want to admire the flowers.
The finished product.
Wait a minute. We want the flowers, we want the fragrance, we want the kaleidoscopic beauty, but we don't want the stones and the rocks and the dirt and get my fingers and we removing the weed. It is our personal responsibility, if we want greatness, to get in the dirt and dig up the weeds so that we can sow the seeds of greatness and give it time and water it and nurture it. Because when it's somebody else's fault, we just have rocks and dirt. Yeah, and you know, I'm feeling this way today, but I know what it's like not to feel this way. It's sometimes not that simple for people, because the person who sucks your energy may be the person who sleeps in the bed next to you. The person who violated your expectation may be somebody you work next to every day. And it's hard not to get shocked when you're next to the electric wire, you know? And so it's not as simple as all that for everybody. Some of us are in more fortunate circumstances than others. I wouldn't count myself as one. I started out barefoot, naked, bald-headed. Most people are born with a full suit of clothes and a head of hair, okay? I didn't even have that. For 20 years of my life, I did not have running water, electricity, or an inside toilet. I had an outhouse and I worked with lamplight through 20 years of schooling. So I know what it's like, not only not to have the physical things around you that are regarded as luxuries, but not to have respectability in the community, have no pedigree. I know what it's like to be stuck in a social circle where you live in a neighborhood where there's nobody to emulate, no hero. But when you have the fire inside, and you just keep stoking it with a little kindling here, stoking it until the time is right. When the time is right, those wings will come out. You just can't give up hope, because when you give up hope, you're dead. Just keep hoping, keep dreaming, keep studying, keep working on yourself, keep reading. This book, If Caterpillars Can Fly, So Can I. Now, I want to be careful to say it's not just the pride of an author. This is what I'm learning. It's beyond me. I'm trying to live up to it. This book will get into your belly and ignite a fire in you. There will be fire in your belly that will make you dissatisfied and miserable and uncomfortable until you get up and do something about that life.
Viewers, we're going to leave it here today. Yeah. Alvin, do you have any last thoughts, words that you want to share with our viewers?
Yeah. The practical side is kind of the vein on which I was before. The practical side is, for some people, it's not that easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. But then we need to remember that you are part of nature, and nature can be hard. There are hurricanes, there are floods, there are tsunamis. But until they kill you, you're not dead. It is the process of nature for everybody who dreams of greatness to sift them and to strain out the ones who are not serious, to figure out who are the ones who are serious. And nature takes every seed and puts it under the ground and gets it to swell up and burst to see if the DNA is strong enough to produce a tree that feeds people. And nature hides the coolness and the view of the mountaintop way up in the air, where you have to scratch and claw and hurt yourself, your knees, to get up there, to sift out the ones who are not serious. And nature puts some in the fire to see if they will curse God and die, or if they will go through the fire and come out on the other side better. What I'm saying to you is, nature has given you, God and nature have given you the greatness that you were born for. The rest is completely up to you as to whether or not you're going to work it and work on it. And when you fall down, you're going to get up again. Somebody said, all I need to succeed is to get up one more time than the number of times I fall.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's 99 or 1. Get up one more time, the number of times I fall, and I'm up. So I encourage those who are going through a place right now where they don't feel this energy yet, where the energy is not manifested in their lives yet, percolate it in your thoughts. When I was a little boy and I was suffering from all kinds of indignity, and my teachers sometimes did not believe in me, I used to go to bed at night and I used to dream of a magical train that I could open with abracadabra, you know, these childhood things. And I would dream about those things, and they kept me alive in the time when I was suffering shame on the outside world. And that dream as manifested over the years, I can open doors now that I didn't even see before. I encourage you, it starts with working on you. Work on yourself. Work on yourself. Academia teaches you physics and mathematics and geography. Great, we know them. But many people who have those things have no worth in themselves. Work on your personality. Work on your talent. Work on your life purpose. Read books. Find people who are already at the place where you want to be. Get mentors in your life. God did not make you alone. He made you to need tools. He gave you the raw material. And if I can help you, let me know. If Kadene can help you, I know she will let you know. But it'll be a shame to die with the raw material undeveloped when you know You were born to fly. Here's what I say at the end of this book. You were born to fly, and nothing less will satisfy. So if you want satisfaction, you got to get some fire and some disruption on the way.
Well said. Well said. Mr. Day, thank you so much for joining us today on Beneath the Surface. It has been an absolute pleasure to speak with you. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. It's a pleasure talking with you as well.
Right. Guests, remember that you can access all of Mr. Day's books at alvinday.com/shop. Take care. Thank you for watching Beneath the Surface. Remember to subscribe, like, and share with your friends and family.